Oh, there's a frog. I hear a frog in my pond. Sorry. Butterfly. All right, today we are mulching, but just look at some of the goodness happening here. That's our comfrey. Our comfrey is, gosh, it's up to my waist, just short of 4 feet tall. And oh boy, isn't it nice to be in spring and have everything coming back to life. Oh man, I just love spring. Spring is probably my favorite. All right, we are mulching. I'm going to show you how I do these. It's very basic though. I mean, it's, a lot of people may say, well, duh, that's how you mulch. I use straw for mulch. For my beds, for my pathways, I use wood chips. Reason being is straw's a lot easier when the crop is done. Straw's a lot easier to pull back. Just kind of rake it back to the side and then you can rake it back on. Wood chips kind of get all mixed up into the bed. Wood chips to me are fine to use as mulch. A lot of people say that it'll tie up your nitrogen, yada, yada, yada. I don't believe that because I haven't seen that when I use it. I just don't. Okay, so it will tie up nitrogen if you mix it into your bed. Say you go through and you till it in to your bed. That will tie up your nitrogen. There is the possibility of it, but I haven't seen anything wrong happen when I put it in my pathways. And you know, it's just kind of a pain to straw. You can straw will break down over time and it'll feed your soil, keeps your soil nice and cool in the summer, warm in the winter, and it retains moisture as well. So you know, I love it. Now, one thing about straw though, if you use straw that's been sprayed, and that is just so common these days. I mean, it's probably always been common. It seems like ever since I can remember, ever since I've been, you know, small scale farming, you can't really find straw that hasn't been sprayed. And you don't want to use that because that is just going to, all that nonsense is just going to leach into your plants, to your food. And that is just, you don't want that. It's gonna destroy your soil. It's going to kill the microbes. It's going to kill everything, and then it's going to leach into your food too. And if your food makes it, as in doesn't die, then you got lucky. But it'll probably kill your crops too. Now, I'm not 100% sure that this straw has not been sprayed, but the guy that I get it from says he doesn't spray. Now, these days, it's just so hard to believe anything you hear. You know, because especially with straw, I mean, maybe that's the way they make their living, or maybe that's how they make part of their living. I don't know. So anyways, it's hard to believe a lot of things that you hear. And I've been using it for a few years now, and I haven't seen any poor results from using this straw. Okay? So take that with a grain of salt. What I want to get to is growing my own mulch. And that would be the best, because then I know exactly where it comes from. Now, I'm wearing these long sleeves and a mask because with straw, I get a little bit of a allergic reaction from it. But we all learn that masks don't really work. Did I just say it? But this does help a little bit with dust. Dust is a larger particle than other stuff. We won't get into that though, or did I already get into it? Okay, so basically you're going to sprinkle it down. Okay, you're not just gonna kind of throw big clumps down. You're gonna sprinkle it like, you know, like you sprinkle salt or something like that. That way it kind of falls kind of always, you know what I mean? And it won't like mat down. And that's exactly what you don't want. So I mulch very, very heavy. And for good reason. The last few seasons, I have not had to irrigate. I do irrigate in the beginning when the plants are young, like these cabbages that I'm about to show you in this bed. But that is just to get them off. They need that in the very beginning. They're young, okay? So I do irrigate by hand, which is a total pain in the ass when the seedlings are young. But once they get established, I don't irrigate. We do get a lot of rain here in Tennessee, northeast Tennessee, But what I found is with this thick mulching method that everything seems to be okay, and everything comes out healthy and doesn't, I don't really see any stress on them from the heat. I first sprinkled it all on top of the plants and all, but I tried to go as light as I could above the plants, because we don't want to, if you cover the plants a little bit, it's totally fine, but you don't want to completely cover the plants so that they're not getting any kind of sun, okay? So I'm going to switch this camera around and I'll show you exactly what I mean here. Okay, so this is a bed that I just mulched, and it lays down a lot better once we get like a rain, or I could even come with a hose or something, but that's a long stretch for the hose. But as you can see, like I was saying, is that I kind of went around and uncovered each plant. This is cabbage here, okay? So I just kind of went around, and they were all covered at first, but now they're not. So that's kind of the basis of it, okay? And I need to go through here. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, you can still see soil. Well, it's important to not see soil, because the sun sees the soil, and then the weeds will germinate because they get sunlight, okay? You get rain, and then you get sunlight, and boom, now we got weeds. And there's weed seeds everywhere. So if you're thinking that you don't have weeds, they're everywhere. All it takes is for one of these little guys. That's all seed right there, okay? So once, which you probably already all know. So once it gets blown somewhere, those are all seeds. So once wind blows it, it lands into a fresh bed like this, and boom, this bed's not covered. And so you get sunlight, you get water, that's when you get germination of the seeds. So now I'll show you the little sprinkle method. Yeah, let's get to it. All right, so like I told you, I mask up for this one, and I know that it works, because if I don't mask up the next day, oh boy, my allergies are a disaster. So I cover up and I mask up, because for some reason, maybe it's from being an ocean boy, when straw touches my skin, man, I get itchy. Next day, if I don't have a mask on, I got the worst allergies. So what we do is I'll just grab a chunk of straw. These are bales, these are square bales, these are not the rounds. I'll just pull off a chunk and I'll just sprinkle it like this. Now when you get a big old chunk, that's not a big old chunk, but it kind of sticks together sometimes, I'll just reach down, sprinkle it. So all these, and then you can switch ways. You go like this, you go like this. So it's all kind of crisscrossing. If you haven't read One Straw Revolution, that's where I learned this from. But it's total common sense to me at this point. It just makes sense. This bed will be planted with tomatoes in 3 weeks. So you may be wondering, well, why are you mulching it when you're just going to have to pull it all back? Well, because this is a fresh bed. I freshened it up, and I'm already seeing weeds pop up. And I keep picking the weeds. But this is going to slow that whole thing down, that whole cycle down. And I want to get the sides of the bed too, because your grass is going to grow up. Then you got grasses going in there and weeds. Okay, see, I just came through and weeded this the other day. Boom, more popping up. But you don't even really have to pick your weeds. Get on your hands and knees and pick your weeds. You could just cover them up. Light creates photosynthesis in a plant. Photosynthesis is what makes it grow. So if it's not getting light, it's going to have a harder time surviving and multiplying. The weeds will outcompete your plants. And that's where cover cropping comes in, and companion planting, and you can naturally mulch with just plants. That's another option. Mother Nature will step in and get that soil covered. One good thing about the weeds is they tell you what is lacking. And there's a lot of good weeds out there, but none that I really want. in my garden beds where I work so hard for. Take dandelion, for example. Dandelion's telling us something. Dandelion is telling us that our soil is compacted. How it's telling us that is because if you ever dig up a mature dandelion weed, you'll see how deep that taproot is. That taproot is deep. So what that's doing is that's reaching down and trying to break up the compaction in that soil. Mother Nature is just a beautiful natural thing that is upon us. There's so many things that Mother Nature tries to tell us. Unfortunately, we don't all see it. Start listening if you're not. She's got all the answers. Don't forget to go along your edges. Very important. Edges are also important in farming, gardening. Edges is where all the life is, or the health. Edges are everything. If you go into nature and you look at a natural pond or something, if you look at the edges, you see life, you see health, you see prosperity. So that's why what we have right here are straight beds, not a lot of edge. And that's why if you have beds that have more edges, you're gonna get a lot better results. All right, that's that. Straw is not the ultimate. To me, it's the best thing to use, but if it's not available, there are so many things that you can do to mulch. We actually have a blog post about the different materials that you can use. You know, there are so many things. There are leaves, there are grass clippings. The only thing with the grass clippings is right now in the springtime, you don't want to use, you know, when all these weeds have gone to seed, you do not want to use that, because all you're doing is planting weed seeds in your beds and in your pathways. So, you know, save up those leaves during the season, and, you know, you can put them on, you know, right out of the forest or off of someone's lawn, someone that didn't want them. So go ahead and stop by inharmonyfarms.com. So go by there and you can read up on it and hear about, you know, our opinion, which are only opinions. You know, nothing is, it's whatever works best for you in your current situation and what you have on hand and what you have access to. But there are really no like hard rules when it comes to gardening and farming. You know, that's the beauty of it. That's what I love it so much, is because there's so much freedom in it, and you know, you do it your own way. And if that way didn't work, then you know, first you want to learn kind of the fundamentals, you know, and we have a lot of that information on our website about just the simple fundamentals. And it's simple, really. If you just kind of mimic nature, that's pretty much what we do. Do what works best for you. There's no black and white edges. It's all, you got to see it as gray areas. There's so many gray areas to life, really. I mean, in everything that we do. Find the gray areas and live your life that way. These black and white borders, you know, this is right and this is wrong, and just going by that, to me, that's bullshit. That's not what life is all about. There are gray areas that work, and it's fun to kind of like push those boundaries, you know? Try to push the boundaries every once in a while, and you'll see if it works, awesome. That's great. If it doesn't, we just kind of, you know, have to listen to nature, because nature knows best. One of the YouTube channels that I follow is, I think, Stephen Cornett. The name of his YouTube and, you know, everything else that he does is Nature's Always Right. And that's brilliant. You know, that's a brilliant name, because it's true. Nature is always right. If you ever see anything in nature that's wrong, let me know, because I have yet to find any kind of wrongdoing. So, love you guys. Off to the races we go. Off to the races we go. Did I just say that out loud? Sure did.